a little bit about ARM Mobile. So ARM Mobile is a note-taking application for trial assessments. And as I said before, it's compatible with any iOS or Android device. So this app will help you extend your ARM software to the field, and it doesn't require an internet connection during note-taking in the field. So that allows you to leverage ARM's consistency tools like validation lists and SEs or standard evaluations across all of your note takers. If you have several note takers that are out in the field, this helps with that consistency. You're also able to take plot photos with ARM Mobile, and they are easily renamed and cataloged with the ARM trial file back in the office. And the biggest and probably most important thing that we stress with this is that you're able to review the data immediately after taking the assessment, so you're able to maximize your assessment quality. So here's just a quick look at the ARM Mobile workflow. The first component is going to be the base information. And once we get into the demo, I'll show you the folders. There's a base info folder, and this is from your ARM software. So these are things like the favorites list that are going to be exported out of ARM into the base info to help you with your data entry. So it'll be specifically standard evaluations, your list of ARM mobile users that are going to be taking the assessments, crops and pests that are commonly used, and then assessment related lists like part rated, measurement units, etc. Where this information is sent is whatever cloud storage service you choose to use with ARM Mobile. We are currently compatible with Dropbox, OneDrive, and Google Drive. And so ARM Mobile is going to download this base info during the installation and setup of the app on your phone, and I'll demonstrate that here in a little bit. And then next, we have the individual trial files. So the trial definition is sent to the cloud, and this is not the entire ARM trial file. It's going to be a smaller file that includes the SE definitions list, the assessment columns that don't have data, and any attachments and site details. And so this is saved in the trial def folder in the cloud and then imported into ARM Mobile. And then after using the mobile app to record the data or take pictures and then review your assessments, you're going to export the data to the cloud when you have internet available. And ARM is automatically, that's going to go into the trial assessment folder, and then ARM is automatically going to import that data into the trial file on your PC when you open that file back up. So to utilize ARM Mobile, you need the connection, which we call the EDC or electronic data collector, and you need a data plan. The app itself is free, and so that can be, if you have 15 different note takers that are going out to the field, they can all download that app for free. You just have to have this connection and data plan for your company. And that connection is the electronic data collector. And that's the connection between the ARM software and then an ARM Mobile. EDC also includes the tablet data collector add-in. So if you already have TDCX, then you have that EDC connection. And then you need a data plan, as I said before too. You only need one plan per company. And so if you want more information, we're not going to go over a whole ton of that. But if you want more information on that, you can contact our sales department. All right. And I'm going to jump over to, and you can still see my screen, right? You can see the GDM website, just making sure. All right, so I have pulled up ARM Mobile on my web browser here. Instead of using my phone, it's just a little bit easier to show you guys through a web browser here. So I have gone to that link that I showed you on the GDM website, and I actually did a reset so I could show you from the very beginning what this looks like. The very first screen that comes up is the welcome screen here. And we have our privacy statement that you need to read and agree to and then confirm. The next screen is where you're going to choose your sync method. And so if I click select here, I'm going to use Dropbox today. As I mentioned, we are compatible with Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive. You probably noticed SharePoint is listed there. There's been a little bit of confusion. We are currently doing some testing with SharePoint, but it is not currently available to use, just Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive. So you'll choose the cloud service that you want to utilize. And then you'll choose your distance calculations that you want to use and click next. The next screen is when we talked about how ARM Mobile works. We talked about the base info, which is your favorites lists. You're going to go ahead and import, choose that base info folder. So I'm already logged into my Dropbox. If I wasn't already logged in, it would have brought up a screen for you to log into your Dropbox account. I'm going to navigate to my ARM Mobile folder and click on that base info folder. And down at the bottom is the select button. All right, so I've selected the folder where my base info is. And next I'm going to select my export location. So I'm going to navigate back to my ARM folder, and I am going to select the trial assessment folder. That's where I want, when I take my ratings, I want them to be pushed back to that trial assessment folder, because that's where ARM is going to look to pull that into my trial file. Just to give you an idea here of where those folders came from, ARM is actually going to create those for you. So I have a trial file open here in ARM, and I've got this trial ready to go. It's ready to export. And how I know that is I've double checked my assessment columns to make sure that those are all ready to go. Another thing you can check is your SE definitions. So if you need to add an assessment in ARM Mobile while you're out in the field, you can add one starting from scratch, but it's so much easier if you have some SEs ready to go. So I have some SEs ready to go to be exported. The EDC connection that I just talked about is up here at the top. This little button here on the toolbar kind of looks like a kid's drawing of a sun. When I click on that, it brings up the EDC dialog. What I want to do right now, I have my trial ready to go. I want to push it to ARM Mobile, so I'm going to say push trials to EDC. And then over here on step 2, I need to choose the electronic data collector that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to be using the ARM mobile app, so I have that selected. And then step 3 is verify where you want the trial file to be sent. So I'm going to browse there. And actually, I was experimenting with OneDrive this morning. I'm going to go to my Dropbox, and here's my Dropbox folder. My ARM mobile folder is already created because I've done this before, but if I just selected that Michelle folder and hit OK, then here, and it actually tells you right here on this dialog that ARM is going to automatically create the following folders in that mobile path that you selected. So you want to either select your Dropbox, your Google Drive, or your OneDrive, whatever cloud service you decided to use. You want to find a folder within that. Then ARM is going to make a parent folder, ARM Mobile. And inside that, it's going to create that base info, the trial assessment, and the trial def folder. And it has nice little explanation for each of those folders. So if you can't remember which is which, it'll show you right there. And I've talked about the favorites list and how important those are. Those you can find right here, edit mobile list. You've probably, if you use ARM regularly, you've probably already created some favorites lists. You can see this status bar at the bottom. All 17 lists that get exported to ARM Mobile, I have selected some items to be within those lists. The first 4 at the top, those are required in order for you to use ARM Mobile. So you have to have something in those 4 lists. The rest are optional, but we highly recommend that you put something in all of the lists, because when you're using the app, this is what you're going to be able to access. Those of you familiar with ARM, our validation lists are quite extensive, so we cannot send the entirety of all of those validation lists to ARM Mobile because it's just too much information. And so that's why your favorites lists get sent to ARM Mobile instead. If I wanted to edit any of these lists, I just click on the Edit List button and it will bring it up. So maybe Matt is also going to be someone who's taking some assessments for me. So I just simply type in his name and hit OK, and he's been added to that list. Once I'm satisfied with all my lists, I can just hit Update and Close. So I've gone through all the steps here. If I click Next, then ARM tells me that it has successfully pushed the trial that I have open through the EDC to my ARM Mobile, my trial def folder. So I can hit OK. And so that's all I need to do in ARM. And so I'm going to jump back to ARM Mobile here. So that explains that base info and that trial assessment folder there. My next screen, I'm going to select who is going to be taking the assessment. So I will just select myself there. And then I can import trials. So I'm going to navigate to that ARM Mobile folder. I'm going to click on the trial def folder. And here is that trial that I just pushed from ARM through the EDC connection. So I'm going to select that because that's what I want to take assessments on today. I'm also going to select just one of these other trials so I can show you how to delete a trial too. So once I've selected, you can import multiple trials at once. I'm going to hit select. And it's going to import those trials for me. So then if I click on this import trial, oops, sorry, I already did that. Next, I need to go to the select trials. So I've imported my trials. And I had already imported that trial once, so it's showing up twice there. I'd imported it earlier just to test things out. So there's my trials that I imported. Here's the one that I told you I was going to show you how to delete. All right, so if you need to delete a trial out of ARM Mobile, click on those 3 dots next to it, and you can see this very bottom is remove trial. So if I click on that, it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to do this? If I'd done any ratings with it, it's going to be deleted. I'm going to confirm. And so I am left with the trial that I want to take some assessments on today. I'm going to click on those 3 dots again. And there's a few different options here. So the details, if I open that up, that gives me a few select details. Again, there's so much information included in the ARM trial file. Not all of that can be pushed to ARM Mobile because it would just be too large of a file. So just some select important information about the trial is brought over. And then I can use my back button here in the upper right corner to go back. I can update my walkthrough. So I can set my walking path. You have several different options here to set your walking path. I can also choose the replicate that I want to take assessments on. I can choose to have all of them, or I could just choose one of my replicates. You can also pin your trial location. And then this last one up here that I saved for last so we can move forward is the assessment manager. When I click on that, so back when we were in the actual trial file in the ARM software, there were 4 assessment columns. These are those 4 assessment columns. And this assessment manager allows me to choose which assessment I want to take today. I could be taking all 4 and I could select all 4, or I could select just 1 or 2 if I wanted to. So I'm going to do the % control after 1 week. And if I click this down arrow over here, it gives me some more information. So it gives me the description, the pest, don't have a crop selected for this one, the rating. So the part rated, the rating type, and the rating unit all show up there. And then sample size, collection, reporting basis, etc. You can see for collection and reporting basis, it says not selected. If I wanted to change that, if I go over to the right, there's these 3 dots. I can click on that and I could enter that information in. So maybe my collection basis is 1 plot. So I'm going to select that. And you can see the validation list that shows up here for collection basis only has 5 items in it. That's because I only put 5 items in my favorites list. That's why we really harp on those favorites lists. They're so important because it's the only thing that's going to show up in your validation list in ARM Mobile. All right. So once I'm satisfied with that, to take the assessments, what I find easiest is up in the upper left corner, you can see the ARM logo. If you click on that, that takes you back to the main menu. So I've selected my trials, I've selected my assessments. Next is to enter the assessments. All right. And so I selected that one assessment. And I am on, if you look here at the top, it has the trial name, and it's telling me that I am on plot 101, and it is treatment number 3. If you look over here to the far right, it's going to tell you which plot is next based on the walking path that you selected. If I click on this little down arrow, it gives me the option to add a little more detail to this plot. So I'm going to enter in my assessment rating. So I've got 90% control on this plot. I can click the exclude button to exclude this plot, and that again transfers over to ARM. So if you remember the exclude option feature in ARM, that's what that is. I can also click this little camera here and take a photo of the plot. And if you remember from the introduction, ARM Mobile automatically names and will attach it to your plot in ARM. And then I can also add a comment here if I need to. So if I needed to exclude this plot for some reason, I want to be sure to add a comment in of why I chose to exclude that plot. Or any other comments that you want to make there. So I have entered in my rating. I've got a few different buttons over here to navigate to the next plot. I can simply use this red arrow to move to the next plot. So now I'm on plot 102. And if I look over, plot 103 is going to be next. I'm going to enter in my rating for plot 102. Actually, I'm going to enter in 90 again. So if it looks like 90 is going to be the rating for quite a few of my plots, I can set that as a default value using this little half circle, green circle here right next to that entry field. So if I click on that, it's going to tell me that it's going to set this entry as my default value for all subsequent ratings for this assessment column. I can confirm that or cancel. I can also say, don't show this message again if I don't want that to pop up every single time. So I'm going to confirm that. Now, this doesn't mean that every plot has a value in it already. You still have to navigate through each plot and confirm it. So if I want to confirm this default, I'm going to hit the double green arrow. And it's going to tell me what that double green arrow means. It means it's going to navigate me to the next plot and that it's going to confirm that that default value that I set for this plot is what it's supposed is what I want to actually use for my rating. So I'm going to hit confirm. And you can see it's a little hard to tell, but the rating value, now I'm in plot 103, that rating value is showing up as a gray. That means it's not confirmed. That's just the default value that I've set. And I need to confirm it. So I would do that by hitting that double green arrow again. If I hit the single red arrow, it's going to move to the next plot without recording that default value. And I'm just going to do that so we can look back at it in a minute when we review our assessments. And so I can show you that. The next one, I'm going to hit the double green arrow. And then if I'm on plot 401 here, so maybe this is a different value, I can type that in and hit my, I'm going to hit my double green arrow again to advance. And I'm just going to continue on through. If I want to set my default value to something different, I just type it in and use that half green arrow again. I'm just going to put some values in so we can get to the review process here. All right, so I made it all the way through my columns, and I hit that advance arrow again, and that actually took me to my assessment summary. This is where I can enter in just some basic information on the overall summary. So you can see tour note here. I can enter in some information since I was taking the assessment on the pest. I can enter that in. here the pest stage, the density, diameter, and height. And then my assessment date is automatically going to record that with today's date. I can hit done when I'm done, or I can hit return to walkthrough. And that takes me back. This little magnifying glass here, if you click on that, oh, it did not record. Okay, so when I must have messed up on my default values there, this little green dot here is the only plot that it recorded information for. Except it's showing me that it has, I'm going to go to my assessment review. Okay. I probably clicked on that a little fast. So next to the description is these three dots here. If you click on those, then you can clear your entry, or you can go to the assessment review. If I click on that assessment review, it brings up a heat map. So I can easily look at my plots and see if anything stands out. So plot 103 is different, has quite a bit of a difference there. So I maybe want to go back and just double check that and make sure that I didn't make an error when I put that entry in. Same for plot 502. If you click on them, so I clicked on plot 502, that will also bring up all of the treatments so that was treatment number 2. So you can see it has colored in just the plots that were treatment number 2. You can click on any of the plots to just do a quick comparison of the treatments there. And then if I click on it again, then it brings me back to the entire heat map. There's also the list view here. So you can look at the list view and it will give you that by treatment, and it also gives you an average. Tells you which rep and your plot number, and then your entry there. So there's another way to do some review. I'm going to go back to that chart view, and I'm going to go check plot 103 just because that looks like I may have possibly made an error. To quickly navigate to that plot, I'm going to use that magnifying glass because then I can jump to that plot and I could go back. And so this is, again, the great advantage to ARM Mobile is you've taken these assessments in the field, you can quick do these reviews, and if you need to go back and double check something before you leave the field, you can do that. Whereas if you're using paper and pencil and you have to go back to the office and put that information in and then do your data review, well, then you're no longer in the field. So if you notice something that's a little bit off, it's, either making a trip all the way back to the field, if that's even feasible, to double check those things. But with ARM Mobile, you can do it right away. All right. And next, I'm going to go back to the main menu. We've put all of our entries in for this assessment. I could go back and select another assessment if I wanted to just go back to the assessment manager. I could click that one off since I've already done it. I could select a new one and I could go take that assessment if I wanted to. You can, I'll just show you quick, if I select 2 at the same time, when I go to enter assessments, you can see that those 2 show up at the same time. So you could go through each of your plots and take 2 assessments at the same time to increase your efficiency there. Next, I'm going to show you the completion dashboard. And this kind of serves as one last review. All right, and so the only trial that I have selected is this one right here. I'm going to expand that trial so I can view the assessments that I took. And you can see right here. So just another double check. So this percent control that I just did, the pest stand count I did earlier, but this percent control, you can see it says ratings entered 19 of 20. So I can see that I missed one. And if I go back to enter assessments, I'm going to click on that. Now they all turned green for me. I'm not sure why they didn't do that before. So the ones with the green dot, the assessments have been entered. The one that is blank does not have an assessment. Oh, shoot. Sorry, 1 second. I selected those other two, so I could show you that, but I need to go back to that percent control. I need to have that selected so I can go back and edit it. So I'm going to click back on my main menu and go back to that enter assessments, and then click on that magnifying glass. And it's going to show me here that plot 103 is what I missed. And you can, it's hard, I'm sure it's hard to tell, but that number is in gray. So I can enter in, and that's because I hit that single red arrow instead of hitting the double green arrow to confirm it. So I'm going to hit that. And now everything has been entered. So I can go back to that completion dashboard. Expand this trial again. And now you can see that that percent control, all 20 of my 20 ratings have been entered. It also gives you the averages for the experimental treatments, the control, and the standard. So this is a good way to just do that one last double check to make sure that you didn't miss any values. And then the last step here is to export back to ARM. So I'm going to click back on that ARM logo in the top left corner. And the last thing on my main menu here is export assessments. ARM is going to warn you that exporting large amounts of data or assessments that have a lot of images could take several minutes. So you want to make sure that you don't want to let your device enter into sleep mode, because it could stop the upload process. So I'm going to hit close there. All right, I expanded that. So I took one assessment here that I'm going to export back to ARM. So I just click my export button. And it's just going to make sure that I'm absolutely sure that's what I want to do. And up here in the top right corner, it's kind of quick, but it told me that that was successful. So if I go back to ARM, I already have it open. If I didn't have it open and I went back and opened it up, it would automatically pull it in for me. But I'm going to just show you how to pull it through the EDC connector. So instead of pushing a trial, I'm going to pull a trial from the EDC, and I'm going to pull it from the ARM mobile app. And I just hit next, and there you can see all of those entries that I entered in ARM mobile just showed up. ARM gives me the successful message for the data import, and it was for column 3 there. And it also fills in the assessed by field up here and the rating date. All right, are there any questions? Hopefully I didn't go through that too quickly. We do have a little bit of time left here. So we have some time if there's any questions about ARM Mobile. We can take those now. Just I'm going to just quick import a couple more trials here. So one thing that I forgot to show you, so I have several trials listed here in, I imported several trials, so they're listed here in my trial list. This arrow, two-sided arrow here, if I click on that, that allows me to drag and drop the trials into any position that I want them to appear. Oh, but that's not going to let me do it on the browser, is it, Matt? I'd have to be on my phone to do that. I forgot. If you were on your phone or another mobile device, it would let you sort those by dragging and dropping, but I forgot it doesn't let you do that. I'm on the browser. And you can also do that with your assessments as well if you want to put your assessments in a different order. One other thing, bring back ARM so I can show you this quick. So if you're subscribed to the Product Pulse, you would have gotten that, I think it was last week that it went out. In the Product Pulse, we had a little blurb announcement on, we have a partnership with Matrix. And so with this EDC, so you can use that for ARM mobile, but then there's also this compatible app. So if you're a Matrix user, you can now import data from Matrix through the EDC. You just have to use this compatible app option here in step number 2. And they have updated their user manual to show you the steps to do that. It's really exactly the same as what I showed here for ARM Mobile. You just use that compatible app. So if you use Matrix, we just wanted to make you aware that that option is now available. Yes, there's a comment there. You see Mirus there as well. We also do work with Mirus, and we're able to push data back and forth with that Harvest Master software. We do have a PDF of information on how to do that. We don't have a whole ton of resources developed. Usually Mirus provides that technical support. But yes, that is an option. What about note collection in season? Can you give me a little more detail there on that question? And Matt's answering that question there in the chat too. Mirrors can be used to collect notes in season. Okay, I wondered if that's what you were asking. Matt, do you have any information on that? I don't have a whole ton of experience with Mirrors. That's on my to-do list to become a little more familiar with that and maybe develop some training materials on that. Okay. Any other questions on ARM Mobile? All right, well, I can stick around for a couple more minutes here. If anybody else comes up with any other questions, if you think of something later, just shoot us an email. We are more than happy to help. We're glad that you could all join us today for this webinar. We hope you can join us for some future webinars. We have 4 more left in this series, and then we take a break over the summer season. It's people that tend to be busy in the field and aren't able to join the webinars. So we take a little break, and then we will be back in the fall. In September will be our next series. So watch for that. If you're subscribed to the ARM Product Pulse, you will receive an email when we announce that next series of webinars with the registration information. Thank you, everybody.